As the sun set on another day in Europe's art-loving capitals, a secret society of curators, conservators, and connoisseurs was quietly duped once again. For 12 years, a master forger had been weaving a web of deceit, peddling fake paintings to the very institutions dedicated to protecting the world's most treasured artworks. The likes of the Louvre, the Prado, and the National Gallery had all fallen prey to his cunning, each convinced they were acquiring genuine masterpieces. Meet Wolfgang Beltram, a man with an uncanny ability to mimic the styles of the old masters. With an artist's eye for detail and a thief's instinct for risk, he crafted forgeries so convincing that even the most discerning experts couldn't tell them from the real thing. The game began innocently enough, a small sale here, a minor museum acquisition there. But as Beltram's skills improved and his confidence grew, so did the stakes. By the early 2000s, he was selling paintings worth millions to museums on both sides of the channel. The Galleria Borghese in Rome acquired a supposed Titian. The Museum of Fine Arts in Boston bought what it thought was a genuine Velázquez. Even the Storie d'Uffizi Gallery in Florence fell victim to Beltram's chicanery, purchasing a fake Rembrandt for a handsome sum. And yet, despite the best efforts of art detectives and forensic experts, Beltram remained at large, the ultimate art thief, leaving a trail of deceit that would take years to unravel. As the curtain closed on his remarkable 12-year spree, one question hung in the air: how did he do it? It's a cat-and-mouse game that would put even the most seasoned detectives to shame. For 12 consecutive years, one man managed to sell forged paintings to some of the world's most prestigious museums in Europe. Institutions with entire departments dedicated to authenticating and verifying the provenance of the art they acquire. You'd think it would be a fool's errand to try to dupe these behemoths of the art world, but our forger was no amateur. He went by the name Wolfgang Beltracchi, a German artist with a reputation for being a bit of a charlatan even before he started selling his fakes. But it wasn't until the early 1990s that Beltracchi's skills really came into their own. He began creating exquisite replicas of works by some of the most celebrated artists in history: Monet, Renoir, Cézanne, and even Picasso. The game was afoot as Beltracchi started selling his forgeries to unsuspecting collectors and dealers across Europe. And for years, he got away with it. The likes of the Louvre, the Met, and the Tate all took in at least one of his fake works during this period. It wasn't until 2004 that the first doubts were raised about Beltracchi's authenticity. A collector had purchased a painting from him and later discovered that it was actually a copy of a work by another artist altogether. Beltracchi's reputation began to crumble, but not before he'd managed to sell over 600 paintings, many of which are still on display in museums today. It's only now, with the benefit of hindsight, that we can see just how brazen and clever this forger was. He had an uncanny ability to create works that were virtually indistinguishable from the originals, a testament to his skill as an artist, but also a chilling reminder of the ease with which fake art can infiltrate our cultural institutions. As the years went by, the forger's reputation grew, and so did his ego. He began to take risks, creating more complex and elaborate forgeries that fooled even the most discerning eyes. The museums, desperate to add new masterpieces to their collections, were willing to overlook minor red flags in favor of getting their hands on a genuine-looking piece. But there was one major development that would change everything. In 2007, the Louvre Museum in Paris acquired a painting attributed to the Dutch master, Rembrandt van Rijn. It was titled La Bella Principessa, and it seemed to be a long-lost masterpiece from the artist's early years. The museum spent millions on authentication procedures, including infrared scans, X-rays, and even a team of expert conservators. What they didn't know was that the forger had gone one step further this time. He had created an elaborate backstory for the painting, complete with false provenance and a web of fake owners. It wasn't until 2009, when a British art historian named Myra Janine Cross stumbled upon some suspicious inconsistencies in the painting's history, that the forgery was finally exposed. The revelation sent shockwaves through the art world, and soon, investigators were tracing back the forger's trail to uncover his true identity. But by then, he had already disappeared into thin air, leaving behind a legacy of deceit and a trail of fake masterpieces that would take years to unravel. As the master forger continued to evade detection, his creations were seamlessly integrated into some of the most esteemed collections in Europe. The sheer audacity of his operation is staggering. Consider that over a span of 12 years, he sold at least 63 forged paintings, each one meticulously crafted to mimic the style and technique of its real-life counterpart. Among his most impressive coups was convincing the National Museum of Wales to part with £100,000 for what they thought was a rare 17th-century portrait by Dutch master Frans Hals. In reality, it was a clever replica, created using advanced forensic analysis and a deep understanding of the original's brushstrokes. But the real genius lay in his ability to manipulate the art market itself. By creating a fake provenance trail, a paper trail that convincingly linked each forgery to a legitimate owner or gallery, he effectively obscured any potential red flags, making it nearly impossible for even the most vigilant curators to spot the fakes. As the years went by, his reputation as a reputable dealer grew, and museums began to seek him out, eager to add his discovered masterpieces to their collections. It's estimated that he raked in upwards of £10 million from his operations, a staggering sum that speaks to the incredible value placed on these works of art. But what's most unsettling is the real-world implications of this operation. The proliferation of forgeries can lead to a loss of cultural heritage, as museums are left scrambling to correct their own collections. In some cases, genuine masterpieces may even be misattributed or lost forever, leaving art historians and enthusiasts alike in the dark about the true nature of these works. As the years went by, Hans eventually began to take on an apprentice, a young and ambitious art forger named Frank. Frank was eager to learn the ins and outs of the trade from Hans, who saw potential in the young man. However, their partnership would soon come to an abrupt end. In 2005, Frank made a crucial mistake that would change the course of his life forever. He forged a painting attributed to the renowned artist, Jean-Baptiste Gros, and sold it to the Louvre Museum for a staggering sum. But this time, something was amiss. Art historians at the museum began to question the authenticity of the piece, and a thorough investigation ensued. Hans's reputation was on the line, and he knew that if Frank's forgery was discovered, it would not only ruin his own career but also damage the credibility of every institution he had worked with over the years. With Frank's involvement now under scrutiny, Hans realized that he had to make a drastic decision: distance himself from his apprentice once and for all. The repercussions of Frank's mistake were far-reaching, sending shockwaves throughout the art world. The forgery was eventually exposed, and Frank was arrested and charged with the crime. As the dust settles on this extraordinary saga, it's difficult to fathom just how far-reaching and audacious this art forger's exploits were. Over the course of 12 years, he managed to palm off his meticulously crafted forgeries onto some of Europe's most esteemed institutions, museums with teams of expert curators, conservators, and authentication specialists dedicated to safeguarding their collections. In total, it's estimated that over $100 million worth of forged artworks found their way into these revered repositories. The sheer scale of the operation is mind-boggling. Imagine a steady stream of fake Picassos, Rembrandts, and Van Goghs slipping seamlessly into the world's greatest museums, often without anyone batting an eye. The forger's remarkable success can be attributed to his exceptional skill as an artist in his own right. His fakes were so convincing that even the most discerning eyes were fooled, including those of some of the art world's most respected experts. Take, for example, the case of the Louvre Museum in Paris, where a forged Rembrandt self-portrait was accepted as genuine and remained on display for no less than 5 years before being exposed. This master thief's remarkable ability to blend into the shadows has left many in the art world scratching their heads, wondering how he managed to pull off this incredible heist without anyone detecting his true identity.